Good afternoon, everybody. So I get just a few short minutes to be your bridge from all we've talked about in K-12 and higher ed into early learning. And I'm curious before we start, is early learning in the house? Okay. I thought you might be here. So what is the business case for early learning? You've already heard this, $5.4 billion of economic loss in our state every year because parents don't have access to the child care that they need. Unemployment in this state is 3.3%, lower than the rest of the country. And so when you're trying to hire in your businesses, you benefit from having the largest talent pool possible. And if parents are excluded from that, we have a problem. You've also heard that at the Children's Movement, we are the goal leader for 100% of children being ready for kindergarten by the year 2030. You've also seen these tiles already. You know that we're only at 51% right now, and that come third grade, only 50% of children are reading on grade level. The news flash here is that many of those are the same children. And there's no great failure in our K-3 system. We're just ignoring the foundation of our education system. We're not making sure that each child has access to high quality at the foundation of our education system. And many of you know this also. 85% of brain growth happens by age 3, 90% by age 5, and so to make sure you're awake after lunch, I have put up some photos of cute children who are 3 and 5. Now, they want you to know two things. One is that these are really good Florida boys. They shop at Publix, and so you should trust them. The other thing is these are my boys, and that makes me a temporary authority on the ages of 3 and 5, and so you should trust me. So the real two things that they want you to know is, number one, there are more new neuronal connections firing in the first 5 years than they ever will again. And so nobody in this room thinks that you learn 85% or 90% of what you're going to learn in those early years, but it is forming the foundation of the brain. And so picture a father sitting with his son, and there's a banana on the table, and scenario number one, nonverbal baby, let's say 8 months old, looks at the banana. Father says, oh, maybe you're hungry. You want to hold this? Got to get back to my Zoom call. Scenario number two, same banana. Father says, oh, I see you're looking at that banana. Picks it up. You might notice that this banana is yellow. And, well, the skin of the banana is a little harder than the inside. The inside's kind of mushy. You want to hold it? Maybe taste it. There's sort of this back and forth interaction. It is back and forth interaction with loving adults. That is how the brain is built. And those are the kinds of interactions that happen in the early years. So that's the first thing. Back and forth interaction is critical. It's the way the foundation of the brain is built. It's what decides whether that neuron fires and sticks and becomes the architecture of the brain, or fires and falters. And so the second thing they want you to know is that in this state, 70% of children aged 0 to 6 live in homes where every adult works. And that means that it's not always the dad or the mom sitting there having these interactions with children. Teachers help with this important job. And so what happens in a preschool classroom that, these might just look like 2-year-olds having their lunch. But what they are learning and the interaction that is happening in that time is they're learning to communicate, to cooperate, to focus on a task, to express their emotions, to manage their emotions. And that sounds a lot like the soft skills that employers are looking for that Kyle talked about earlier. And so this is really critical. And again, it's that back and forth interaction that's happening with teachers that matters. So back to the business case, at the Children's Movement of Florida, we're all about making sure that this fastest growing state in the nation is also the family friendliest. And so employers have a role to play. You heard a lot of folks standing up here talking about how we need to invest in teachers. And unfortunately, when you get down to the 0 to 5 years, it doesn't look so good. We're not investing so well in our teachers when the average pay in a preschool classroom is $12 an hour, our minimum wage. And so what can business leaders do? You can support your employees. You can look inside your employee manual and see, are you offering paid leave? Are you offering flexibility? Are you offering advanced scheduling? This is gonna look different depending on your industry, but I promise you there is something every single employer can do looking inside your employee manual to make it a little bit better for parents. Number 2 is advocate. Now you know that the back and forth interactions that teachers help with is one of the most important things. So help us advocate for increased funding in early learning that will allow for increased teacher pay to acknowledge the sector. And number 3 is give back. You know, many of you are here as corporate leaders who are investing in education. Look beyond the elementary school, the middle school, the high school. Look into those early learning centers that are the feeder pattern. Thank you very much. And Victor. Thanks.